Hello, in this video I'll be explaining my off-season top 32 for the 2020-21 college basketball season that will hopefully start at some point. Hopefully we'll end up having a season, remains to be seen though. So let's go ahead and get into it. And a little bit of a caveat there. This is as of July 16th, my rankings, so keep that in mind. So at 32, we've got Connecticut. They lose their leading rebounder and scorer and Christian Vitale, as well as Alterique Gilbert and Josh Carlton, who's their assist leader as well. But they've got James Bouknight, who kind of got better in the American play, kind of like as the team got better with him. Also Tyler Polley. And then Cook, another talented piece from him, but he did get injured. But if they're healthy, I think they'll be pretty good and land in this 32 spot. And they also have a top 20 recruiting class featuring 2 4-stars, and that's currently second in the Big East, according to 247. So, and then they also return 7 other top 9 scorers at full strength. Alright, moving on. You've got the UNI Panthers. Now this is a team that was capable of being that large. Don't think they would have gotten there through that loss to Drake and Arch Madness. That blowout upset loss. But I think they only had like 5 or 6 losses last year, and they returned 3 of their top 5 scorers, including their best player AJ Green, as well as Austin Fife, Antoine Kimmins, and Trey Burrell. They did lose their 4th and 5th leading scorers, Isaiah Brown and Spencer Haldeman. So that could be impact, but I still think they have enough returning to where they can improve to this spot. But I think they'll be in a pretty competitive battle between them and Loyola Chicago. And also, scoring core is upperclassmen too, so that always helps to have experience. So up next, we've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. So this program brings in a top 10 recruiting class, mainly featuring 4-star recruit and top 50 recruit as well, Moses Moody. And then they bring in 3 grad transfers and Justin Smith, Vance Jackson, and Jalen Tate from the mid-major level. So they're still waiting on Isaiah Joe to see what he will do. And it's still, I've seen they've offered transfers as well. Always seem to offer transfer offers out. So, remains to be seen if they'll kind of fluctuate a little bit. But I think they'll take their next step as a program under Eric Musselman and make the tournament. Alright, up next we've got St. Louis, the Billikens. Now this team really surged at the end of the year. They won their final 5 games, I believe. You remember, this was a team that really gave Dayton the nail biters in A10 play last year. So they returned their top 8 scorers, including Hassan French, a leading rebounder, as well as Devontae Perkins, guard Jordan Goodwin there, and also Yuri Collins, another guard play. And then, yeah, like I said, they really surged at the end of last season, and they're better than people really thought. And they're actually, 3 or 4 seed in the NIT, and they're closer to the bubble than people realize too, at least in my opinion. So I think they'll be right neck and neck with the A-10 title, as well as another team that I'll mention here in a little bit. Up next, we've got Oklahoma State Cowboys. They've also got the number one prospect, Cade Cunningham, according to 247, to go with Isaac Likely, who was their, I believe, one of their impact players last year. Interesting note, after going, I believe it was 0-8 start in the Big 12, they finished the year 8-3, so they really got better. They're okay in non-con, really slumped in January and February. At the end of February, they got a lot better. And then if you add Cade Cunningham to that, and then I've also got Ferron Flavors from Cal Baptist, and some other talented pieces. Actually, the 11th ranked recruiting class, according to 247 Sports. And I think they'll have a really good team, probably Mike Boynton's best team since he's been there, even though they're supposed to be banned from the tournament. But they do still have the hope for the appeal that they're doing. But they did lose URNI, a very impact player down low, who's going to SMU. So definitely impact them, but I still think they'll be borderline top 25 and kind of in the thick of it in the Big 12. Up next, we've got the Hoosiers of Indiana. Bloomington, they've got 5-star Christian Lander, who reclassified to 2020, who's coming in. They returned 7 of their top 9 scorers, most notably including Trace Jackson Davis, Rob Finney, Al Durham. And for this is also a team that probably would have gotten like a 9-10 seed range in last year's tournament. They did lose Justin Smith to Arkansas and Devontae Green, though. But I think Archie Miller will finally get this team going to really true relevancy, whether competing for top 25 berths week in and week out. So up next, number 26, you've got the Oregon Ducks. Honestly, they lose senior Peyton Pritchard and also Shakir Houston. Peyton Pritchard was really good player for them. Really kind of carried them. Was able to make really big shots, especially some of the other parts of their team were really inconsistent. But they still returned 3 of their top 6 scorers, most notably Will Richardson and finally Dante Chris Duarte. And also got Amari Hardy and Eugene Omarui from Rutgers eligible. So kind of a good mix there of some experienced transfers and also some experience from last year's team. So I think they'll be borderline top 25 good. So, up next, top 25, we've got Seton Hall Pirates. Obviously lose a lot of seniors, including Miles Powell, who was second team All-American. He wasn't All-American, I remember that. He had 21 points per game, so he was really good. Really big loss. Also, Quincy McKnight, Romaro Gill, big parts of their team. But they still return Sandro Malikhelishvili, who's injured through a large part of the season. So I think he'll be really good for them this upcoming year. And also Miles Cal, big part of their team last year. So another thing why I don't think they'll fall off too much is the transfers they've got. And Bryce Aiken, Harvard, and to Cal Folson, who sat out last year. So this is kind of like my sleeper team. Not really getting a whole lot of top 25 buzz, but I truly think that it can get there. So up next we got Texas, number 24. They returned like everyone from a bubble-ish team, including Matt Coleman, who is their assist leader and scoring leader as well, and Jericho Sims, who led the boards. So this is the year that Shaka Smart really needs to get it going, because they've got Greg Brown coming in, who's a 5-star. This team really has a whole lot of potential, but based off of Texas's track record over the last few years, kind of got them borderline top 25, but they really could be better than this ranking if they really play to their talent level. But they really haven't done that the last few years. So moving on, number 23, we've got the Louisville Cardinals. They lose a ton of production from last year. Top 4 scorers, including Jordan Nwora, McMahon, Sutton, Dwayne Sutton, Stephen Enoch, Darius Perry, Fresh Kimball. Darius Perry actually transferred there. But their key transfers in Charles Midland and Carlik Jones. Charles Midland from San Francisco and Carlik Jones from Radford, I believe. So kind of assist them in their position to serve that they really needed last season. So they also returned David Johnson, Samuel Williamson, and Malik Williams. David Johnson, and as well as both the other guys, really showed flashes of promise. So I think Chris Mack will get this team going to borderline top 25, and they don't fall off too much, kind of like Seton Hall. Or Seton Hall, they made the past 4 or 5 tournaments. Louisville, I think they'll get some consistency with Chris Mack. Up next, we've got Richmond. They returned their top 5 scorers from a team that was right there to get into the tournament, right in the first 4 in. I think they finished second in the A-10. And they got Blake Francis back, and their whole top 5 scorers from last year, they're all going to be seniors, so that's really fun and really good, especially due to the world happenings at this point. And probably will be the favorite to win the A-10. Have to look at St. Louis, who I mentioned as well, and perhaps a team like Dayton or the Bonnies. But I've got them as my highest rated A-10 team. Next we've got Florida State, Leonard Hamilton. Kind of a theme with these 3 teams, Seton Hall, Louisville. Florida State's been really consistent these last few years under Leonard Hamilton. Had a top 5 finish last year. I lose a lot. Patrick Williams, Devin Vassell. I lost a lot last year, but look where they ended up. So they've got MJ Walker, Malik Osborne, Raekwon Gray back, as well as top 10 prospect and 5-star Scotty Barnes as well. So I think this team will be right back in the thick of things in the ACC, and perhaps in the hunt to get another ACC title. Alright, moving on. Top 20. UCLA Bruins. They return pretty much everyone from a surging team last season. Really an astounding comeback they had, because they were pretty much gone. In February, they had lost to like Big West teams in Hong Kong and like some bad teams in the Pac-12. But they almost won the Pac-12 title, so you can see that. So you've got Jalen Hill, Tiger Campbell, Jamie Jacquez, Cody Riley, and the most important one, Chris Smith, who's actually in the draft. We'll have to see where he ends up going. But if they return all those guys, UCLA, I believe, will be back in the tournament. It's first time since 2018. And Mick Cronin will have his first truly good team there in his tenure. So, and then they lost Prince Ali and Sharif O'Neal. So I thought that was worth mentioning, but they've got enough there. I think they can play toward a top 20 type of team and be a Pac-12 title contender as well. So up next, number 19, we've got Rutgers. They return again, almost everyone, like UCLA. Really one of the more surprising teams, including Ron Harper Jr., who's their leading scorer, Miles Johnson, Geo Baker. And the only big pieces that they lose were Akwazi Yaboa and Jack Carter. And plus, they bring in top 50 recruit in Cliff Omarui. So you can kind of see the trajectory of the program, where they're recruiting better to supplement their losses. And it'll be interesting to see them return to national relevancy for the first time in a long time. So, up next we got Stanford, the Trees, the Cardinal. So they return top 6 scorers from a bubble-ish first 4 out, next 4 out type of team. They lost to Cal, if I remember correctly, to finish out the season, so that's obviously not good. But they returned all those people, and they really did relatively well compared to preseason expectations. And those people include potentially Tyrell Terry, who's in draft entrant, and really their ceiling is really high if he comes back, because they've also got Oscar Da Silva in the post, as well as Dejon Davis back, Spencer Jones too. Plus, top 10 recruiting class, finished second in the Pac-12, and landing top 10 recruit and 5-star Zaire Williams on the wing, I believe. So again, kind of a big grouping of Pac-12 teams here, but they should all be top 20 to top 25 in Oregon's case. So up next, number 17, we've got the North Carolina Tar Heels. So they got a top 3 recruiting class coming in, and was slowly getting 5 stars, guard Caleb Love, and then they got 2 centers coming in, and Deron Sharp and Walker Kessler, and then another combo guard and RJ Davis. And I'd hope they complement experience from Garrison Brooks and Armando Bacot in the front, as well as Leaky Black, guard Leaky Black from last year. So this team really had bad luck, but honestly they were pretty bad. They finished last and probably the worst ACC in a long time. Definitely several years there. So, but I think they will return to national reality though. And sort of a bounce back season for the Tar Heels and Roy Williams. 16, we've got Arizona State, Remy Martin, who's an Alonzo Verge, two NBA draft borderline guys. But if they come back, Remy Martin could be one of those All-American candidates. And a really high-scoring offense with both of those guys coming back, as well as Josh Christopher, the 5-star. Plus, they bring in Marcus Bagley, who's a really high 4-star, I believe top 30 player according to 247 Sports, to kind of go in the front court to supplement the loss of Romello White. They've got Tayshaun Cherry, though, as well as Jalen House, Kamada Lawrence. So, a little bit more impact from those guys to supplement that loss. He went to Ole Miss, by the way. But if they get more help from the front court, this team should be really good. So, up next, we've got the Houston Cougars. Houston, they really return a whole lot. 4 of their top 6 scorers, but 2 kind of big losses in Nate Hinton and Fabian White. Fabian White due to the ACL tear, I believe, and then Nate Hinton, he ended up leaving for the draft. But should be favorite in American, and Kelvin Sampson's really got the program going there. I think they've won their last 2 American titles and would have made the last 3 tournaments, I believe. So they still got really good scores in Quentin Grimes and Caleb Mills. They got help from Deshaun Giroux as well. I remember him from that biting incident. That was kind of funny. But Houston, really one of the more surprising programs year in and year out. But I think they'll finally be ranked in the preseason this year. But up next, we've got Texas Tech. The Red Raiders lose Jamias Ramsey and Davide Moretti, the 2 leading scorers. But they've got the top 15 recruiting class featuring Amari Burnett and also Michael Peavy. Burnett being a guard, combo guard there, and Michael Peavy on the wing. Which was actually the best recruiting class in the Big 12. And all these recruiting stats are according to 247. Plus, I've got Marcus Santos Silva, who graduated and transferred from the VCU. And also, they got Kyler Edwards back, Joel and Tomboy, Senat transfer, as well as Terrence Shannon and Kevin McCullough. So you've got a whole lot of talent there. Back-to-back years of really good recruiting. And they return a good amount. And I lost a lot of close games last year. Kind of, sort of a good theme there. But I think that flips toward the other direction. They win a lot of those close games. They really get better as a team. So I think they've got potentially top 15 and right up there in the Big 12. Up next, we've got West Virginia landing at number 13. They return almost everybody, most notably Oscar Tshiebwe. He was their leading scorer and rebounder, as well as Derek Culver, Miles McBride, Emmett Matthews. And this team really was cold. They lost like 6 of 8 or 6 of 9 or 7 of 8, something like that. But they rebounded nicely. Beat Baylor at the end of the season, so that was good. And they kind of good to wipe out the slate, get another year of experience in for those guys, and really improve as a team. They've got Jermaine Haley, who ended up leaving, who's a guard there, and their assist leader, but they add JUCO point guard Keidrian Johnson. But yeah, I think they really get a whole lot better from their last place finish 2 years ago. So at number 12, we've got Tennessee. The Vols really should have a big bounce back year after a year where they wouldn't have made the tournament. They've got a top 5 recruiting class, bringing 2 5-star prospects in combo guard Dayton Springer and also shooting guard Keon Johnson. Plus returning 4 stars from last year's team, outside of Jordan Bowden, who graduated. They returned Santiago Vescovi from Uruguay, I believe, Yves Pons, Josiah Jordan James, and John Fulkerson. I think a couple of those guys are in the NBA draft. So if all those guys return, this team should shoot right back up to the top of the SEC there. Right with Kentucky. So a rivalry there. Like I said, they lose Jordan Bowden, but you really saw this team's potential when they went in and beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena in the second to last regular season game. So moving on, we've got Kentucky at number 11, number 1 recruiting class, headed by top 10 prospect, 5-star Terrence Clark, and also shooting guard B.J. Boston, center Isaiah Jackson, and also BG point guard Devin Askew, as well as bringing Davion Mintz from Creighton, as well as Olivier Sarr from Wake Forest. Remains to be seen if he gets a waiver. And that's really the piece to make Kentucky complete. We'll have to see, because they lose almost everybody from last year. Pretty much. They only return Keon Brooks Jr. They did get Jacob Toppin, but he's a sit out. Probably won't make too much of an impact there. But we'll have to see how inexperience plays into the season due to the world happenings right now. But this could be a team we've seen the last few years where they have maybe a rough non-con. Maybe they drop out of the top 25 at one point. But as soon as you turn into March, they'll be right there in the hunt for like a 2 seed. And in the hunt to go into March with a real Final Four hopes. Alright, up next we've got number 10, Sparty. Michigan State that lose Cassius Winston Sr. Big loss. As well as they've got Xavier Tillman, who's an NBA draft decision guy. Remains to be seen what he will do. But they do have Joey Hauser sit out from Marquette, eligible, as well as a lot of the sort of role guys from last year will really be put in the spotlight now. Rocket Watts, Aaron Henry being the best of this group, got Gabe Brown, Marcus Bingham as well. So hopefully we get some of those guys to really blossom as they enter their sophomore, junior years. So we'll see Josh Langer for perhaps, not sure what he's gonna do, and Xavier Tillman too. But if you get like a mix of those guys back, I think Sparty should be top 10 and right in the thick of it in the Big Ten. Number 9, we've got the Duke Blue Devils. Duke lost a lot of production like they usually do, a lot of NBA draft people. But they do return a little bit more than usual. Matthew Hurt, Jordan Goldwire, Wendell Moore back. Wendell Moore, Matthew Hurt, 2 freshmen from last season who come back for their sophomore years, and I believe Jordan Goldwire's either a junior or a senior. So you get some experience to complement the top 3 recruiting class, featuring Jalen Johnson and the point guard Jeremy Roach, DJ Stewart, guard, and C. Mark Williams. They've also got Patrick Tepe from Columbia, I believe. One of those Ivy League schools, I can't remember. But really another typical season for Duke. They'll be right in the top 10, kind of like Kentucky. But Duke gets a higher rating for me just because they returned some more of those guys from last year. Up next, we've got the Blue Jays from Omaha, Creighton. I've got them as a top 10 team despite losing Tyshawn Alexander to the NBA. The key to this is returning Marcus Zagorowski, another key scorer for them. Again, they could still return 5 of their top 6 scorers, including 3 double-digit scorers, aforementioned Zagorowski, as well as Denzel Mahoney, Mitch Ballack, and leading rebounder, post guy, Damian Jefferson, and Christian Bishop. But they've got some talent coming in, some international talent, to try to help reinforce the loss of Tyshawn Alexander. And I think they'll be right behind a certain team that we'll get to in a little bit in the Big East. But point guard Radi Anjo Nikashashvili, top 100 out of Georgia, I believe one of their highest ranked players to commit to there as well. So we'll see his impact as a freshman for this team. And I also got the Duke transfer as well. Up next, you've got the Hawkeyes, Iowa. Return almost everyone from top 25 team from last year, like a 6th seed, including Jordan Bohannon, who was injured, missed in the last season from, I believe, a hip surgery. Got Joe Wieskamp, CJ Frederick, Joe Toussaint, and really all their main contributors from last year back. And most notably, Luka Garza, waiting on his draft decision, but with him back, I think it can really improve. They really had a whole lot of close games, as well as pretty much every team in the Big Ten. I think they got the 5 seed out of the Big Ten tournament, but with a couple of those teams losing some production, they can slide up the rankings and really have one of their best years in the last few. and be a Big Ten title contender with that high-flying offense. Up next, we've got the Badgers from Madison, Wisconsin. They only lose Brevin Pritzel to this team. Big turnaround. Lost to New Mexico and New York. Had like 5 losses in like December. But they go from that to winning a Big Ten title and winning their last 8 games. And they bring in the 4th ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten as well. But most of the reason for this ranking is also the continuity experience from last year and Nate Reavers, Dimitri Trice. Nate Reavers up front, Dimitri Trice in the back, as well as pretty much everyone else, Micah Potter too, and the dude that got suspended. So I think this team will be top 10 and probably be one of Greg Gard's best teams that he's had so far in his tenure at Wisconsin. Alright, top 5. Next we've got the Jayhawks. Kansas. They return Marcus Garrett, Ochai Agbaji, David McCormack, Christian Brown, Soakim Nucleus from last season's team there. Their top 2 players, big loss in Devon Dotson, Udoka Azubuike, and then Isaiah Moss, who's a grad transfer there. But they've got Bryce Thompson, a 5-star, as well as JUCO, Tyron Grant Foster. They've got a lot of those guys returning, all those talented guys to really blossom with another year of experience. And I really only have them falling back a few spots after losing to those 2 big guys from last season. Up next, we've got the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, Virginia had a pretty big turnaround as well, kind of like Wisconsin. They turned around from really out of the tournament picture in like January to being a game out of winning yet another ACC title. So he returned 5 of their top 7 scorers, including Kihei Clark, Thomas Golden Tensai, Jay Huff, Casey Morsell. Jay Huff, Golden Tensai, Clark really improved as the year went on. But they do lose Diakite, Diakite, and Braxton Keith. But they've got a top 20 recruiting class coming in, headlined by 4 stars, Jabri Abdur-Rahim and Reese Backman. So, some talented guys to sort of back up their experience and really be one of the best teams, yet another best team, quote unquote, since they won the title only in 2019. Next, we've got the Baylor Bears, top 5 team from last year. Would have got a 1 seed if we had the tournament. They returned 6 of their top 8 scorers, including Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, Davion Mitchell, Mark Vitale, Tristan Clark, Mayer. Clark had injury issues there. But Jared Butler, another key NBA draft decision we're looking at. But if they return those guys, though they did lose Freddie Gillespie and Devontae Van Du. but they've got enough there. Or Scott Drew should have another top 5 team in Waco next season. Plus, they've also got Adam Flagler, grad transfer from Presbyterian, to help out. Alright, number 2, we've got the Villanova Wildcats. I mean, they lose to Deke Bay to the NBA draft pretty obviously, probably first round pick. But they return everyone else from the team that won the Big East title. They got Colin Gillespie, point guard, I believe, Jermaine Samuels, Justin Moore, and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, who's another draft entrant, but if he comes back, only cements them as a top 2 team even more. Plus, they've got experience and experienced backups in Cole Swider in the wing, as well as Demir Cosby Roundtree. Plus, they've got the injured Brian Antone back, who is a 5-star. He didn't really get to play a whole lot last season due to the injury issues. Plus, the Tulane sit-out transfer, Caleb Daniels, as well. So I think this team is going to be completely stacked and really have the chance to win their 4th national title as a program, and their 3rd one in the past 6 or 7 years. And honestly, number 1, we've got Gonzaga. They return core from the team from last season that would have got a 1 seed. Philip Petrusev, NBA draft decision, Corey Kispert, and NBA Joel Ayayi as well. All dependent on those guys. If those guys all come back, I think they'll be preseason number 1, at least mine. They've also got Jude Timme as well. And really good recruiting class coming in. As well, most notably featuring 5-star Jalen Suggs. And their highest rated player they've gotten at Spokane. And they only lose Killian Tilly and a grad transfer, Ryan Woolridge, Adwan Gilder. But this team, I think, should be really good. And probably be preseason number 1. A lot of other people have them as preseason number 1. And if it's not them, it's probably Villanova or Baylor. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. So a recap. The reason why I chose 32 is that it's the top 8 seeds and all the teams that would be favored in their respective first round matchups, theoretically. So thank you for tuning in to this. I'll probably be making another edition of this in August after the NBA draft decisions. And thank you for watching. Again, please give a like if you want to, comment if you want to. What did you think? What did you think of my rankings? Now I have my sort of sleeper kind of teams in Seton Hall, Northern Iowa, teams that not a whole lot of people are talking about as like a borderline top 25 team. I think I got them there as my sleepers. And let me know if you think a team should be higher or lower, or if you liked it. And yet again, thanks for watching.